Hi, welcome to my next project. Maybe. This is one of those that found me. I wasn't looking for it. I've got a neighbor down the street who was telling another neighbor that she had some old jukeboxes that were dad's. Her dad repaired old jukeboxes for years, just a hobby. And she had a bunch of his stuff in her garage. He had passed. She was wanting to sell the home. She's wanting to move back east. She can't take all this stuff with her, so she just needs it gone as quick as possible. I can't resist a project, especially something like this. These are 1955, 1956 AMI Jukeboxes. This one on the end is a 120, which is 120 songs, and these other three are 200s, which is 200 songs, which is actually 145s. And if you're not familiar with 45s, goes. So the 120 holds 60, and it's in a carriage, and it picks them up, puts them down, and plays them. These other three are in a big drum, and the drum rotates, and it picks them up and it plays them. Really cool. She was just giving these to me. She just needed to get rid of them. So, like I said, I couldn't resist. But what have I gotten myself into? Do I just have a bunch of junk? Or do I actually have something that's repairable? So these are actually on casters, and the guy that told me about these, he helped me just roll them down the street, and we rolled them into my garage, and I've just stored them back here in the back. Well, I've got to get them out of my garage. I want to get back to work on my Jeepster project, and these are just taking up a ton of space. So I have to make a decision. Do we want to try to get them to work? Maybe they've got some value. I'd really like to keep one if I can make it work, if it makes sense. But these have a big footprint. It's a big piece of equipment. These two, obviously, the guy was using them for parts. They are so picked over, I don't think you could restore one, not without a huge expense in trying to find all those parts. But to use them for parts for this one is almost complete. You can see at the bottom, it has a old tube style hi-fi amplifier, and it has a power box that's missing. But that power box is actually in one of these other two machines, and what that does is it runs the power to everything else. It controls the panel where you can select a song out of all these numbers, and then it'll pick it through this carriage, and the carriage is all numbered so that you can coordinate it all. It's pretty sophisticated for something out of 1955. So I think this one would be pretty simple, I guess is a word I could use, to restore and get it to work, because I think the majority of the parts are there. Cosmetically, there's a glass panel similar to this one. This broke, obviously, or missing. Well, this frame is missing, and there's a bar that goes here that would have the coin carriage where you put in your money, and it would have a release, so you could release the coin if you changed your mind. That appears to be available if I really did a lot of research and shopped on eBay, and there are a few places across the country that do restore these. So I think I could find all the parts to this one. It's just whether or not it actually functions. If there's a lot of moving parts in this, and there's some motors that make things move. Those are all complete, but they're frozen up, I think. They appear to be. I haven't put power to any of these yet, so I don't know what will happen. They don't have any power cords, so I'm going to have to work up some kind of a way to power these up. This one is the same. This one is the most complete out of the bunch. It has what appears to be everything it needs to actually function. It is missing just some minor cosmetic pieces. There's a latch here that holds this in. There's a piece that goes in here that shows, was it 10 cents for 4 songs or something. And then it looks like there might be a couple of cosmetic pieces that cover up some of the controls. But I think this one could actually function just exactly like it says. Maybe even this one. So I'm thinking I would like to start with adding power and see if they're even a viable project. Or if I'm just in way over my head and I just need to just get them out of my garage. And I've been shopping and looking at the value of these. In this condition, a couple $100. In working condition, $800. Completely restored in really nice condition, they're really not that valuable. They're $2,500. So it's definitely not something I'd want to put a lot of time and money into. This one goes for a little bit more, but there's still not a lot more. And there's a lot of cosmetic pieces that are missing to be able to make all of these into one. It's just not there. So I think it'd end up having to spend $1,000 or more just to finish getting all the parts to assemble this. So I'm thinking these are probably, find somebody that could use them for parts. Or maybe has enough interest that they'd want to restore this one. So I'd like to just start by playing with this one. It's not in the best shape. This is cracked and broken. Cabinet's not too bad. Fairly attractive, but this panel on the back has a volume off and on. Cancel, I'm assuming it cancels the song that's playing. It's got a modern plug. This plug is probably something more out of the 80s or 90s. I think I have a cord for this, so I should be able to plug it in and test it out. You do have the schematics on the inside of the door. It does have some explanations of what parts are. Wiring diagram for the speaker and other controls. It does have the coin catch. It has the coin exchange controls. It has a 3-position switch on the equalizer, a high frequency range so you can change the frequency. So for something out of the mid-50s, they've got some pretty sophisticated parts. All the wiring looks good. Some of it's fabric wiring, which has a tendency to decay and fall apart, but it looks like all the wiring is good. Has a large horn speaker in the top. It appears all the controls are there. It has a light bar up inside and a mirror in the back. I gotta try this one out. Hey, got a power cord. I plugged it in, I hear little clicking noises. It's actually moving. needle. You can hear moaning. There's a motor here that drives one of the shafts. You can see the chain drive. There's another motor there. With the humming noises, it appears they're trying to turn, but they may be just the grease has gotten old on the shafts, so it's struggling to be able to move anything. This carriage was sitting right here, so it's actually moved from when I plugged it in. You might have seen it moving while I was trying to plug it in. So I'll have to go back and watch the video and see. But I don't know how to actually make any of this function. This piece picks that 45 record up, and it comes up and twists and drops it on. But it's kind of promising to see the dust area here that this has actually moved. This one takes a different power cord, but I just happen to have a power cord that'll plug into it. You can see some of these tubes are trying to light up. There is a little bit of light inside. There's one large tube in the back that is halfway lit and it's got a big black spot on it. So I would be willing to bet that tube is actually burned out. I hear some moaning and groaning. There's a spot here where it looks like you could put in a fuse. That fuse is missing. It's missing its needle. It smells like electricity, like something is trying to work. Well, I say, just have to play around with them and see. I mean, if I could actually get that to somewhat function, get things to move, clean it up, I'm sure it's got some value. These other two, virtually everything down here is missing in this one. There's really no controls. It has a coin changer on it. That might have some value. This one's missing a lot. The controls, there's motors in here that power things up. This one's missing all of its motors. This one is as well. This is missing all the drive components to run the needle on the turntable. The turntable is still here. Way too much missing on these two. There's really not even a lot left for parts. I suspect these two are pretty much just junk. Maybe there's some pieces that could be salvaged, but they're in bad shape. So along with these 4 units, she had this cabinet sitting next to them, and she said, if you want, you can have everything in that cabinet too. In fact, you can take the cabinet. She says, this was my dad's stuff that came with these. She says, I don't even know what's in them. She says, all I know is there's a whole bunch of 45s. I would say there's probably 100, 150 records. So that's pretty cool. Got some capacitors. Don't know. These have casters underneath them to roll them around. There's one of the casters. A belt for the drums. There's one of the arms for the needle. No needle though. And a whole bag of screws and nails. Some kind of a transformer. In my lack of knowledge of what's in here, just looking at it, I'd say this is all junk. Some kind of a controller, tester, turntable. I'd call this another box of junk. Mean absolutely nothing to me. Another box of junk. Got some old tubes. So other than 3 tubes, another box of junk. Coin changer. It's got some value. Power supply. So other than that, I think we got another box of junk. So these are the numbered pieces that go in the backs of the machines where you could slide in a piece of paper that says what the song is, and there would be a note, a number next to it, so you can select the number of the record. Coin pouch. Lots of little components you could solder in. All of these little components might have some value to somebody. Diodes and transistors and who knows what. But they mean nothing to me. So really that's it. The only thing I really see here of any value is that coin exchanger, these pieces, and all the 45s. A lot of junk. Well, that'll be it for this episode. Next episode, I think I'll dig into that 120 machine. And I think I'll focus on getting rid of these other 3. Just get them out of my way. It's just taking up too much room. And I want to get back onto my Jeepster. It's been a long time since I've worked on it. It's been at least 6 months. It took forever to get all the parts that I was waiting for. It was 7-8 months to get the rest of the front suspension parts with COVID and all the ships sitting out there in the ports. It's been getting hard to get parts. So like I said, that's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you tuning in. Please like, subscribe, leave me a comment. Love to hear from you. Thanks again for watching. Goodbye for now.